All right. Wow, it's been a while since I've streamed. Not as long as it had been before, but it's been a little while since I streamed. We will get this underway shortly. I'm just setting things up right now. Oh God. And I've got a little bit of a backlog. I actually don't have quite as much stuff here. Actually, I take that back. I do have quite a lot of stuff here. And I'm just doing this to make sure that everything seems to be going live. How's my audio? I already see a couple people in, so I hope audio is all right. Hope chat's working too. Oh my God. Give me a moment. Yeah, we got it. All right, so this has been like a while. Let me figure out where when the last time I did one of these was. I was getting to the point where I was doing one of these like not one of these, but one like a stream almost every week. But Thursday happened to fall on some holidays this last couple of weeks, so I kind of skipped them. I could have come on, but I figured people had better things to do than watch me on a holiday, like on Christmas and New Year's. So I don't know. Maybe I should have streamed. The last time I did one of these was November 19th, so I'm a little bit overdue for another RPG crawler quick look. All right, I appreciate that. So, for those who don't know, and I'm going to go ahead and pour myself some. Actually, I got some water. For those who do not know, every month, give or take, sometimes a little bit over, like the last time, I gather together all of the free-to-play and or pay-what-you-want, usually pay-what-you-want material that really catches my eye, and I just do a quick flip-through / review. Now, not really an in-depth review. I just kind of flip through it, see how they're like. Some of them are interesting, some of them less so. Usually I pre-screen them to make sure that nothing's going to show up in terms of artwork that's going to get me in trouble. But I didn't get a chance to this time, so let's just cross our fingers and hope. This week I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I got 19 things this week. Usually I cut off at 12. I got 19 things this week because I didn't get to do it for the last couple of weeks. So I've gone ahead and divided them into like 5th edition stuff, then OSR stuff, and then miscellaneous other stuff so that we may be a little bit more organized this week. And the first thing I'm going to look at is from Luke Hart, and it's called the Lingering Injury System. And it is a pay-what-you-want product, currently available on DriveThruRPG. So let's take a look at the Lingering Injury System. It's probably an adaptation of something, because there's a lot of people that try to get different ways to have long-lasting effects from injuries in 5th edition, so I can appreciate that. It's from the DM layer. Now, I think I've covered a few things from the DM layer before. If I remember right, they're actually pretty decent. All right. Cover's catchy. Gets the job done. It tells you what to expect. Let's take a look. There's only like 3 pages, and one of them's a cover, so 2 pages. All right, so this is from the DM Lair YouTube channel. I don't think I've looked at the DM Lair YouTube channel, but I haven't actually looked at a lot of their material. But I know this is like the 3rd time that one of their things caught my eye, and I took a look at it. So maybe I should look at their stuff. Anyway, shout out to the DM Lair for producing material. I don't know if I don't know if I can, you can look them up on YouTube if you want to get more information. Say Lingering Injury System came about because they feel that the 5th edition mechanic whereby someone can drop to 0 hit points, receive healing, and then back to full fighting strength with absolutely 0 repercussions is unsatisfying. I will back that up because I've been running. I know I've mentioned this before. I've been running a like old school styled, It's a 5th edition game, but I've been running it old school styled. And I've also been running a couple other 5th edition games for various other people, one of whom is my patrons and Subscribe Star supporters. And what I've noticed is like a phenomenon just basically death save tanking, where they don't heal themselves to full. They just walk in there and they take a hit, and then they'll receive 1 point of healing to pop them back up. So they spend half the fight going up and down like a jack in the box. Every time they get knocked out, they just get 1 point of healing and pop back up again. So getting them down and having them stay down, or at least give them cause for concern, is a useful endeavor, and I appreciate that. So this just gives background information on it. On the next page, you'll find a few basic rules for using the system and a chart of lingering injuries. It is pretty simple. Now, there are actually lingering injuries in the DMG as an optional rule in 5th edition. I have thought to use them before, but they're really spotty, and they don't make sense a lot of times. So let's see if this makes sense any bit better. So here's the rules. When a character drops to 0 hit points, they receive 1 lingering injury by rolling on the table below. Potions and healing spells that cause you to regain hit points are both considered to be magical healing. Magical healing used to restore hit points to a character who is at 0 hit points does not count towards recovering lingering injuries that are empowered by magical healing, or removed by magical healing. So you have to heal and then heal them again, which does allow for magical healing of it, but also limits them just popping back up with nothing going on. Unless noted otherwise, expending hit dice to recover hit points over a short rest or taking a long rest removes all lingering injuries from a character. That's not great because, I mean, I guess it's okay for like your standard, like high fantasy 5th edition game. But if you're really trying to go old school, that's another reason why I'm kind of like this about hit points or hit dice in 5th edition. I'm using the one of the optional rules in my 5th edition old school game, wherein you don't get your hit dice back, or where a long rest takes like an entire night or whatever in a town rather than out in the wilds, and that does limit that somewhat. And you don't automatically get all your hit points back, and I found that does limit that somewhat. But I can understand where they're coming from with hit dice, but it does kind of make for really easy recovery, shall we say. So let's take a look at some of the deals. It's just a straight D12. There's no weighting. Twisted back, severe pain gives you disadvantage on attack rolls, athletics checks, and strength constitution saving throws until you spend 10 minutes without moving or taking any actions and you receive magical healing. I got to tell you one thing, man. If I twisted my back and I got better in 10 minutes... I would kill for that, man. Broken leg. This is funny. Your movement speed is half. Whenever you attempt to move in combat, you must make a saving throw. On a failed save, you cannot move that turn. Understandable. This condition lasts until you or someone else spends 1 minute to set the break and you receive magical healing. Understandable. So you basically actually got to like set the leg. Okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Broken arm, you cannot hold anything in your primary hand. You have disadvantage on all attack rolls made with your offhand. Cannot use weapons that require 2 hands, and spells that you cast require a somatic component have a 50% chance to fail. This condition lasts until you or someone spends 1 minute to set the break. Okay, that's understandable. That's not bad so far. Except I would also put like a little like notation there for receiving non-magical healing over time, because your broken arm will heal over time. I mean, that may be too complex for what they're trying to do here, and I totally understand that. Armor damage, if you're wearing armor or using a shield, your armor class is reduced by 2. I love that. That does like permanent damage to gear. Lasts until you spend 10 minutes repairing your armor. It's not too bad. I've seen worse. Leg injury. Your movement speed is halved. It lasts until you receive magical healing. Okay, this is actually a pretty good little thing. There's nothing here. I'm looking at it. There's nothing here that looks super deadly. It does look like it would impact you. None of it's super deadly, and all of it has reasonable remove conditions. I actually don't have a problem with this lingering injury system. It would be nice for maybe a standard game, but not quite like an old school game. Like if you want to add a little bit of grittiness to your standard game, yeah, I'd prefer this one over the one in the DMG. The one in the DMG is I don't know if you've looked at it before. It's really, really kind of hit or miss on things. So yeah, that's the lingering injury system. I'll put a link. That's not too bad. It's literally just one page of rules, and it's pay what you want. One thing I would do on things that simple is I would run them in a game, and if I end up making it like a permanent part of the game, then I would like toss a couple bucks to them. No, that's a cool one. That's a cool one. All right, let's move on to the next one. I think I spent a lot of time for a one page of rules. This one is also a pay what you want offering. It is called Accursed and Occultist. It's standalone classes for 5th edition. It is from Bartslib Filsegwe, and I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. We shall see. And it looks like they're just new classes for 5th edition. And I'm going to presume they're going to be kind of like the almost like the Gothic adventures for like Pathfinder or something. Maybe. Who knows? 2 new classes for the 5th edition of the greatest RPG in the world. I would beg to differ about it being the greatest RPG in the world. It might have been at one time, but it's basically your bog standard RPG now. I would say it's the most popular RPG in the world just because of marketing. 5th edition's not the greatest RPG in the world. Okay. Let's take a look. It's got 27 pages. I'm going to breeze through this real quick. All right, so you got the Accursed and the Occultist, and then some spells. And I'm presuming these are like your archetypes / specializations. So let's take a look at the Accursed. It provides 2 character classes for players to utilize. Consider if these classes would exist in your setting. If they do, then consider whether or not this class of adventure is a rare sight or more average. The Accursed was originally built as a fusion of the Warlock and Fighter, or even as an anti-paladin with a good amount of risk-reward. The Occultist was developed with the intention of being a half-caster glass cannon. How do you even do that? Aren't glass cannons like full casters most of the time? A caster with a low health pool, but with access to tremendous amounts of damage and the ability to cast upwards of 3 to 4 spells in a single turn. That sounds a little bit crazy. I mean, even 2 spells in a single turn could be pretty crazy. So let's take a look. So the Accursed is a warrior bestowed with a horrible curse. Occult is a scholar of the esoteric. D6s, so that's your caster type. D10s, is your fighter type. Strength and charisma. Charisma is constitution proficiencies on that one. Light and medium. Occultist is light, with like basically wizard type stuff. Wizard type stuff, but with light armor as opposed to no armor. These seem a little bit high on the power side. Seem a little bit high on terms of the range of power. But we'll see. It looks like the Accursed gets their stuff at first level too. That seems a little bit. We'll have to see. I guess we'll have to see. All right. Adventurers doomed with a burden. Sometime in the Accursed past, they were stricken with a horrible curse. An accursed life is often agonizing once stricken by the curse. Most Accursed seek ways to cure themselves of their curse. They give you quirks just to fill in your background. Class features. Let's look at this. D10. And that's standard fighter stuff. Light and medium. You got simple martial weapons, so basically all weapons. You don't get any tool proficiencies. which is okay, I guess. And you only get 2 skills, and it's your basic. It's like your fighter / caster stuff. This is all very expected. Starting equipment is just your standard, like striker, warrior type stuff. Lifting an accursed curse, because that does kind of define them. So I can see where that might be a problem. If / when your accursed character is freed from the curse, you can use one of the following options to determine what to do next. When the accursed is freed from their curse, they can no longer gain levels in the accursed class for the curse have been lifted. That would be acceptable. Their curse features are removed, but they still have access to their mutations in maledicted magic. If multi-classing is not really a rule in your campaign and you are cured from your curse, you can simply replace all of your cursed levels with either paladin or fighter levels. So basically, you got your option of transformation or redemption. It's not too bad. All right. This is standard proficiency bonus stuff. Spells known just like a warlock. Curse points. Let's see what that is. Otherwise, the maximum spells act like a warlock, and the mutations act like a warlock's invocations, I guess. But then you get all this stuff that's fine. The accursed seems like a little bit, just a little bit too powerful of a character so far, just from the sheer number of materials. So let's see what these curses do. All right, you've been cursed. Choose one of the following curses: Curse of Fury, Curse of the Stone Blighted, and Curse of Vengeance. Each curse has a lift of spells that you get, so your spells are more limited, I guess. You have a number of curse points to each level. These are spent into various cursed features. The amount of points you possess at any level, you can never have a number of points less than 0. You regain all your spent curse points at the end of a long rest. So it adds an entirely new resource for you to keep track of. Cursed Strike. When you do so, at first level, you can hit a target with a weapon attack and choose to expend any number of curse points, up to half of your total curse points, to add to the damage of the attack roll. So kind of like a smite, except it takes it out of your central resource. Including an automatic crit, or an automatic 5 point, or an automatic fifth of your total pool to the damage every time you critically hit. So let's take a look. So you'd automatically get +2 at first level, +4 at second. That scales up quick, because you don't expend those things. I mean, the accursed is just way OP. Just as it is, it's just way overpowered. Just from this alone. Yeah, and they get mutations at the end of the class description. Okay. They get a fighting style too? Alright, yeah, this is just way overpowered. Upon reaching 20th level, the curse's effect subsides and weaken within you as you finally pull through it. So you even the capstone is you no longer suffer from the downsides of the curse. Yeah, this is just way overpowered, man. I mean, I can appreciate the thematics of it. These are just way OP. I'm like not even going to look through the rest of this. Let's take a look at these curses, I guess. Curse of Fury. Man, these are nice spells. Maybe a little bit underpowered for the level that you get them at. I'll admit that. But they're nice spells otherwise. You must kill a creature that is challenging rating of at least 1/8 every 48 hours. If you don't, we will only regain half of the hit points. This lasts... So basically, unless you kill something, you don't get a lot of your resources back. But as an adventurer, you're constantly smacking stuff down anyway. Oh my god, yeah, this is just way overpowered. I don't even know if I'm going to look at the occultist. This is just... Yeah, this is just ridiculous, yeah. I think I'm just going to I'm not even gonna look at the occultist. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll look at the occultist. I'm not gonna linger on it. So occultists get what kind of abilities? You got they have to use, or is expected to use sanity rules. Oh my god, look at these abilities. Alright, so they use spells similar to the Warlock again. But then they get rights and... Yeah, this is too much to keep track. And delirium damage? What's that on to? Let's take a look. Where's delirium damage? At first level, you have uncovered a secret so vile that calling it corrupts and maddens you. As a bonus action, you can choose to recall it. While in delirium, you get the following features. You have advantage on intelligence checks and saving throws. And disadvantage on charisma that balances out. Whenever you damage a creature with one of your spells, you gain a bonus to the damage dealt that increases you gain up. So they get like... Well, it's small, but they get additional damage to add on to spells. Yeah, this is just... And what's the deliriums bit? That is delirium. Okay. You gain a special barrier that shields you from incoming attacks. So they get temporary hit points too. Kind of. Yeah, this is just a little bit overpowered. Yeah, these are really overpowered. Anyway, that was a cursed and occultist standalone class for 5th edition. Yes, standalone. If I was going to use those would probably be the only classes in a game, man. There you go. I'll put the link up there anyway. This is one that I meant... The next one is going to be one that I meant to cover before Christmas. It is from Skullbox Games. It is Skull Dixon's 5th edition Christmas monster. It is a pay-what-you-want title. And this was one I gathered in like mid to late November. Let me take a look at this one. Where is it? Here we go. Alright, cute artwork. The Gift Golem. Is that it? Is it just one creature? Okay, yeah, it's just one creature. That's cute artwork. Oh, wait, here's the ad for Dungeon Pets by Skull Dixon. 23 unique dungeon pets. Rules to include dungeon pets in any game system. Examples of dungeon pets cover... That's one of those rules that I wouldn't use in my main games. But I would absolutely... I absolutely like. Same with like... what was they called? The baby bestiary for like for like Pathfinder. I think they got a 5th edition version too. But it's like the books themselves are system generic because they don't actually have crunch in them. They don't have a lot of rules in them. But then they added some 5th edition, some Pathfinder supplements that use like baby creatures as pets. So I like the concept. So the Gift Golem. It is challenge rating 6, but with 20 AC, 210 hit points. Damn. Is it only challenge rating 6 because it has like no damage? It's got magic resistance, magical weapons. It's considered magical. It's got the generic golem immunities. It's vulnerable to lightning. That's understandable. Gift giving. Whenever the gift golem, and it's supposed to be cute, you know. I'm not going to give it a lot of crap because of the unbalanced stats, because it's supposed to be cute. Whenever the gift golem encounters a creature, it gives that creature one gift. Roll on the nice gift table to determine what kind of gift they received. When the gift golem is editor, where are you? Space is in the wrong place. When the gift golem is attacked, it will use its bonus action to disengage and its action to run away. When escaping, its base speed increases by 20 feet. When it escapes, it drops 1d6 plus 1 gift spine. So this gift golem, when you attack it, it starts like toddling away really quick and just drops gifts in its wake. Like those little imps in Diablo 2. You know, for something that's cute and for something that runs away when it's attacked... It's got festive decor. It's decorated with diamonds and a gold star because it's a Christmas tree, basically. But it's got an attack that does like 3d8 plus 7 damage at 6th level, or at 6 CR. That's rough, man. Nice list. If you open the box and find a fruitcake inside, the fruitcake acts as some greater healing. Yeah, this is just supposed to be cute. How do you get the naughty list? You open the box to find a pair of wool socks. They are self-cleaning and will always keep your feet dry and warm. Once a year on Christmas Eve, you can leave one of them hanging by the fireplace, and in the morning you'll find 1d10 gold inside. This is cute. But how do you open the box and a gold coin with the word save point written on both sides? When the user says the magic words out loud and flips the coin will vanish. After the coin flip, if the character dies, they will go back to that save point. That's funny. That's funny. But how do you get the naughty gifts? The naughty list gifts, because it doesn't say so in here. Oh wait, here we go. Escape. That's because those are the gifts that it drops. So instead of dropping gold, it gives you naughty list gifts. You open the box and a pair of steel-toed boots hop out. These shoes will not allow anyone to wear them, and they will follow the box opener for 1d6 days, kicking them in the butt whenever he gets a chance. These are cute. I can see someone using that for a game with a bunch of kids. The gift is a mimic and attacks you. That'll give people nightmares. Alright. But anyway, that's... God, what is that? Skull Dixon's 5th edition Christmas monster. That was supposed to be before Christmas. I'll link it anyway. Let's see what's the next one. There's only 2 more of these 5th edition ones. The Librum of Lesser Spells is a pay-what-you-want offering, which I suspect is spells that are like almost next to useless. This is from Mucker71. It's from Lewis McMeekin. Behold, the Librum of Lesser Spells, a book of a variety of interesting incantations and subversive spells for 5th edition. All right, let's take a look. Where is it? There we go. The Librum of Lesser Spells. All right. So we open with stock art, engraving art, collection of various incantations, arcane matrices, and divine methods not officially sanctioned by authorities. There is 14 pages of this, but we're not going to look at all of them. New meta magic, candle magic. It's a new type of meta magic for sorcerers. When you cast a spell that's a duration of 1 minute or longer, you can spend 1 sorcery point to bind the spell's duration to the life of a candle up to 1 hour. If the flame goes out prematurely, the spell automatically ends. If a sorcerer spends 3 sorcery points, the spell does not require concentration if it did already. That's actually really nice, because then you could have... There's one of the things I noticed about 5th edition casters that I hate is the concentration system, because they move so many buffs and so many protections to concentration that some of them are next to useless. They like almost never get used, where in the old school they got used all the time. At least in my games. Spells as loot is a great tradition to have rare and unique spells as loot in dungeons. As much money becomes less of an issue in later levels, the pursuit of unique loot is far more important. So you can give these things to people as unique loot. They don't list a class because the GM is supposed to decide who they go to. Some of these look okay. Let's take a look. I'm not going to go through all of them. Unmaker's Dart. Dart of Energy unmakes armor at strike. Ranged spell attack. It deals 1d6 acid, and if the enemy is wearing armor, it is reduced by 1. That's cool. That's the kind of thing I like to see, is stuff that makes that isn't just straight up damage, but has some sort of secondary effect. Creature discomfort. You generally move your hand and point at a creature that is a beast that you can see within 10 or fewer hit points. The creature must make a charisma saving throw or be suddenly agitated, wishing to move, leave a place, or attack. So it's basically a creature repellent. Sympathetic memento. You can enchant a small object you touch, so needle, bottle cork, marble, or some such. You can link it with any other object or entity. The object always points towards the linked object. So this is like the what do they call the life cards or whatever from One Piece, where it just points to the nearest person. Does it have a range? I guess it has to be within a mile. I don't know. Hat magic. You swirl your hand about the hat of some sort. Any single mundane object placed inside the confines of this container is rendered invisible so long as it's within. So it's like I guess that would be, it's a cantrip. They do have levels here, so that sympathetic memento is a cantrip. That's a bit powerful for a cantrip, but that's okay. I don't know if Unmaker's Dart is like cantrip material. I guess. It's like right on the edge there. Oh, these are all cantrips, and then I guess the higher level stuff's later. Animate hand. It animates a hand as an obedient servant. So it's like mage hand, except like as a undead thing. And it lasts a lot longer. Arcane gloves cause a gray and translucent force to cover your hands and acts like a thick pair of gloves, which is incredibly useful in a dungeon where the DM is used to putting things in that can endanger people's hands. Chain Agony. Caster, it's first level. 4 creatures in turn for the spell's effect. The first takes 1d6 psychic, the second 2d6, and so on. I'm assuming 3d6 and 4d6. And so on is not super descriptive. The damage cannot kill, leaving 1 hit point instead of rendering them unconscious. Creatures can make a wisdom saving throw for half damage. So it's like a tiny chain lightning that's all illusion. That's not bad. I can think of a couple instances where that would be useful. Lesser Yeet. Any inanimate object the caster touches gain the thrown property until thrown or the spell's end. So like, yeet. That's not bad. I would almost like to see that as a cantrip. I don't know why that's first level. Some of those cantrips need to be first level, and that one needs to be cantrip styles. Least Chronomancy. You swap your place in the initiative turn order with some other creature. That could be useful, except I have taken to using the randomized turn order optional initiative, so that would be less useful. The spell of instant artistry enables the spellcaster to spray paints of every color from their fingertips. So you basically become a spray painter. Permanent until cleaned off. I could see some uses for that. No great uses, but uses. The immediate rejection. With an odd word, the creature targeted by this spell must make a charisma saving throw or be forced to walk back their steps they took in the past 3 rounds. Which is incredibly useful until, like, you cast it on one of the DM's, like one of the enemies, and the DM hasn't actually been keeping track of that because they didn't realize you were going to use that spell. So if you're a DM and you award that spell, you have only yourself to blame. Vine Lock. The caster hurls a seed at the door, causes vines to rapidly sprout and skirt shut. It's basically hold person except with plants. That would be like a druid hold person. Or not hold person, hold portal. Why did I say person? Hold portal. I remember that spell. I remember actually using that spell a few times. A lot of people ignore it. Fist of the Morning Star. You are already dead. The caster wreaths one of their fists in unstable, crackling energy. When the spell is cast, the spellcaster must declare if it's a range or melee spell attack. May charge spell for up to 3 rounds, dealing 2d8 radiant damage per round it is charged. So you can you can charge like a blast like the Mega Buster from Mega Man and shoot it. That's actually not bad. Or more appropriately, like some sort of anime person, just the shonen anime where they're just like charge up the fights and then bust loose. These spells are all right. I'm not going to go over all of them. Rocket forward. The spellcaster picks a direction and with flames at their heels travels like a ballista shot up to 100 feet away. The caster can stop prematurely or have the spell propel them less than 100 feet. Once they reach the range of the spell, they stop harmlessly. Some of this stuff is straightforward. Some of it's just funny. An outdated copy of Lightning Bolt, 3rd level. A stroke of lightning forming a line 200 feet long and 5 feet wide blasts out. Each creature in the line must make a dexterity saving throw. They take 66 damage, or half on result. If the spell hits a non-conducting surface, it rebounds in another direction. So basically how lightning bolt should be, because that's how it used to work. An outdated copy of lightning bolt. I like this one. I'm not going to go through all of it. Let's just see. Is there anything else? Greater Yeet. When you touch a willing larger, smaller creature and may launch it with supernatural motion and accuracy towards a location or target. So just like, yeet, and they're gone. I like some of these spells. I'm not going to look through all of them. Let me put the link in there. This is the Librum of Lesser Spells. That was actually more amusing than I thought it would be. Here you go. And this is a pay-what-you-want product. So if you end up using it in your campaign, remember to throw them a buck or whatever. Yeah, there's some decent ones in here. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap that one up. All right, let's take a look. There's no art in it, but I can't count that against it because it's all about the input or the content. All right, the next one is the Player's Guide to the World of Zoth. Now, this one's interesting because it looks like an old school sword and sorcery thing, and it looks like they've got... Oh, man, I can't show that cover on YouTube. Okay, so I got to be real careful because YouTube's kind of like... YouTube's YouTube. And at this point, the only reason I'm streaming here is because I've got the audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this off, and I'm going to... No, I'm not shut this off. I'm gonna shut down the Acrobat thing, and then I will quickly look through this one and see if I can show it, because I did not look through it beforehand. But Player's Guide to World of Zoth. World of Zoth is a sword and sorcery style based campaign setting. Zoth.net is the xoth.net is the is where it's from, and they've got material for like 3rd edition / Pathfinder stuff, and I think this is just the entry into the 5th edition one, and I'm looking at right now, it's 66 pages. I'm just browsing to see how much of it I can show. So far, everything except for the title thing. It's just drawings. It's just drawn boobs, but you know how YouTube is. Well, I know how YouTube is because I've had weird stuff get locked on YouTube. Weird stuff get locked on YouTube. I can show about half the book. Tell you what, I will show the beginning of the book, and then we'll have to cut it off before we can get to the classes. But this is just like a let me turn it back on. This is just a campaign setting, and it is ostensibly for 5th edition because it does have 5th edition specific material in it, but I imagine because a lot of it is like dealing with the background, that you could use it for other systems too. It's got a word to the... It's got like a warning, and it tells you what it deals with because it does all old school sword and sorcery / grim fantasy stuff. And I can understand that. This is one of those things. This is one of those things where I don't mind like the preface. What I mind is weird stuff, is like where you get a big trigger warning that says, "Warning, this adventure may contain like combat." You know, in a D&D thing, and that's where I kind of get weirded out. But something like this, I can understand that, and I totally am okay with that. So here is the land of Zoth. So you got the usual mix of strange lands, some of which have pseudo-historical names. Yar-Aman, which I am assuming is like the Egyptian-based. Kazakhstan, which is I'm assuming the Near Eastern based. Yeah, this is all like. Well, when I say sword and sorcery stuff, I'm talking about like the stuff like Conan and stuff, where it's like classic stuff. Welcome to a world where the men are mighty, women are voluptuous, kings are cruel, and hidden terror lurks in every brooding ruin. It is an age of splendorous but decadent kingdoms, where armies clash at the whims of depraved nobles and the bloody sword of an adventurer can topple empires. I like those kinds of things. I mean, it tells you the background, what is based on, which is the typical Robert Howard, Clark Ashton Smith, Fritz Leiber. I love Fritz Leiber stuff. Fritz Leiber? Is it Leiber or Lieber? Okay, so they don't have alignment in there because that really does not fit the sword and sorcery genre. Well, I take that back. Law and chaos. Law and chaos often fits the sword and sorcery type stuff. Less about good and evil. So I can understand when people don't use alignment in general in sword and sorcery type stuff. But I would use chaotic. I guess here they kind of do. They've got something called cosmic evil, which is about what you'd expect from like a creature of chaos. Monsters are monstrous. Whenever a monster or unusual animal is encountered, the GM can decide that it has a frightful presence action, which is basically gives you a fear effect to any creature that's unnatural, which is completely understandable in a sword and sorcery style world. 5th edition just seems like it'd take a lot of rule changes to become a proper sword and sorcery type thing. Magic is mysterious, so it's got ways to adjust things to sword and sorcery type stuff. The major difference that sword and sorcery stories, magic is not used as a replacement for technology. Spells and magic items are not used to perform every little task. Rather, magic is a corrupting force that is dangerous to both health and sanity, as it should be in a sword and sorcery game. So what's the rules? Magical items are rare and almost never for sale. That's understandable. See the Sorcery of Zoth chapter for more information. We will not be looking at that because that requires me to go through questionable art, and YouTube's going to come down and like say no. And it's not going to. It wouldn't say no like right now, but like the VOD online would be hit later. It would be like age restricted, boom, because you showed pencil drawn naked women. Altering the instant death rules makes it possible to simulate such scenes, for combat is deadly. Sorry, I missed that part. Combat is deadly. Several variations on massive damage thresholds and results are possible. So it gives you some suggested rules to make things feel more sword and sorcery. I don't know, man. All I know is that if I'm running a sword and sorcery game, I'd pick something other than 5th edition D&D to run it as. And that's speaking as somebody that ends up running 5th edition D&D a lot, even as I'm trying to get out of it, just because people know it. But there's some better sword and sorcery games out there. I don't know which ones I would recommend off the top of my head. I've had like 5 of them suggested to me of late, and I'm still looking through them to review. Alright. Falling unconscious has 0 hit points. Death saving throws whenever you start a turn with 0 hit points, as per the standard rules. And when you recover from unconsciousness, you gain level of exhaustion to simulate the fact that you can't just pop back up every time you receive a couple healing spells. Although they do wounds heal quickly, which is more in line with like heroic swords and sorcery. Treasure should be spent. This one is something a lot of people could go on. I have one of the Patron 5th edition games. I based it on like old school dungeon crawly stuff, and as a result, the main group of the party that's been through the entire campaign has just a ridiculous amount of money because they don't spend it on anything until all of a sudden they decide, hey, I want that high-end magic item. But they're sitting there with like a small vault of gold just because they didn't spend it on anything. The tail is its own reward. I know some... Before I go on, the treasure should be spent thing. I don't know if I've covered some, but I've looked at some sword and sorcery style games. Hell yeah, I think that's the way in Conan or whatever, where no matter what you get, you're assumed to have spent a lot of it between adventures. That keeps you like hungry for more adventuring. They give you the alternative XP for gold, wherein you bring money back, or you bring money back from the dungeon and then you spend it to gain experience. That is a good rule. That is a good rule. And you don't spend on stuff that you keep. You spend it on stuff like training or blowing it at the tavern or whatever. You basically waste it or whatever. Summary of character creation. Get a point by. Pick your race. Nothing noting special racial traits. Pick your culture. So this one has both a race and a culture, which is a nice way of doing the sword and sorcery type stuff. And then your class. We won't be covering classes, because that's when the art starts to get get a little bit of detail. So far, I like this supplement. Let's see what species they have. Wait, they're not species. They're like actual races. All right. So they busted out like this old sword and sorcery type stuff, treating races as actually races. That's the way it. I mean, that duplicates the feel of those old stuff. I will note that it doesn't look like they've got different stats. They just tell you what their appearance and what their culture might be, plus they get maybe one or two have specials. Like the Jaka are shorter, so they have a slightly smaller walking speed. But other than that, yeah, you don't get a lot of actual mechanical differences between them. Which is just fine. All right. Yeah, this looks like the kind of stuff that you'd see like in a Conan thing. Just with the serial numbers filed off. Cultures of Zoth. You got this. Okay, so here's where your actual mechanical differences come in. You got the savage, the nomadic, and they don't go specific. So you can have a civilized, whatever, and then the different races from above feed into the different culture types. So you can have a couple different culture types in one race. And the culture is what gives you your adjustments. That's not a bad way of doing it. I like how they split the... they give like a little bit of a special ability, but it's not really that great on these. Yeah, I like this. I like this. I don't think I'm not going to cover much more. But I'm just going to look at the list. You got Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk. Paladin does not exist in the world of Zoth. But they've got the Conqueror class instead. Rangers, Rogues, Warlocks. Sorcerers don't exist for the human races. Wizards don't exist. Instead, you just use the Warlock. Alright. That's all I'm going to look at on this. I like that one. I like the World of Zoth. I'm going to have to look at more of their material. I'm going to put a link to that here. That is the Player's Guide to the World of Zoth. It is a free product. It is based for 5th edition, but I've seen they've got a compilation. They've got some adventures that are written for older editions. Not like 1st and 2nd edition, but like, or for that matter, they might. But they've got material for like Pathfinder and stuff, I think. Let me take a look at Zoth Publishing. Yeah, they've got stuff for Pathfinder. Like old school stuff. And one of the things that I noticed was they got this collection called The Spider God's Bride and Other Tales of Sword and Sorcery. That was in my last, or not my last one, but a RPG news roundup from a while back, and that was a whole compilation of adventures in a sword and sorcery / Conan style feel for Pathfinder and 3.x systems. So if you actually run a Conan-based game and you don't actually want to use the World of Zoth, you could use that one. And they have the same guide to the World of Zoth except in Pathfinder. So if you're sticking with Pathfinder, they got that material there for Pathfinder. All right. Well, that's done with the 5th edition stuff. Let's take a look at the old school and the OSR type stuff. So the next one I'm looking at is called... Let me see if I can even start looking at this one. Oh my god, there's another one. I really should have breezed through here to make sure I didn't have anything that was going to get me in trouble. Give me a second on this one. Before I even mention it, let me take a look, see if I can even cover it yet. Oh, this has a bunch of different books to it. You know what? I am going to cover this one, but I'm not going to cover the whole series. Because I'm looking at it, it's good. You're gonna have some quality issues on this one. All right, where that other one was really high quality, here we have something called the Terima OSR RPG. It is both an old school system and a setting rolled up into one. And this is one of those games. It comes with 6 books. 6 books. There's the character creation, there's the combat, there's miracles, there's spell casting, there's levels and experience, and then there's play / exploration. I'm only going to look at the character creation book. It is 7 pages, and you're about to see why. But we'll give it a fair share. We'll give it a fair shake. It's originally a setting that they made for other systems, but after tinkering with the rules, they only present the system. It's generic enough to fit any setting, although for specific examples, they'll use references from the Terima Bay Tales setting. System using only 6-sided dice, so it's pretty easy to play. The use of 2D equal to or under your attack skill, luck skill, or skill to succeed is exactly the same. So this is basically a... they're referencing the Choose Your Own Adventure books, but that's not Choose Your Own Adventure. That's like fighting fantasy type stuff. Choose Your Own Adventure didn't even have a combat system. At least not that I remember. This is like the fighting fantasy type stuff. So you choose a class, get any 2 weapons, any 1 armor, any 3 random items, and 3 dice and starting money. Starting silver. You can carry up to 10 items at all times. Silver doesn't count towards the limit. So basically, instead of encumbrance, you just have a hard item cap. And this is... the artwork in this is something else. I mean, I can't say that much about it because I can't draw like that. But then again, I'm not putting out my own RPG books. All right. This is a fighter... I guess the attack... Yeah, see, they've got it just like the fighting fantasy type stuff, I guess, where you just roll 2d6 and roll under. With stamina being health. I mean, this is a little bit different, but it looks almost exactly like it's from that system. Like, if you wanted to make this system, they got this system. It's called Advanced Fighting Fantasy. You get 1 feat on each level, and you pick it. And that is almost exactly like Fighting Fantasy. Oh my god. Advanced Fighting Fantasy. Tell me I'm not the only one that remembers that system. I thought I was going to get into it a while back, but I never actually bothered to look into it. Yeah, I'm not going to cover much of this. It's just it abstracts everything down, and it's just it's just the fighting fantasy system. Oh god. There's a few changes, but not enough to really stand out. But I'll put a link to it anyway. That's it's got its own combat book, which is it's just simplified. You've got spell casting, which I believe just takes it off your stamina. To cast a spell, invest 1, 2, or 3 stamina. Yes, so you just spend your stamina to use it. There's some modifications. These are just the general rules, but otherwise it's just like a hack of Fighting Fantasy. All right, well let me take a look at this. That was Terima OSR RPG. I'm not sure I can recommend it, but it's pay what you want, so you may as well look at it, if you feel like it. I mean, the price is right? All right, the next one is from Trollish Delver Games. It is called Heartseeker, traditional adventure game. Inspired by games like OSC, which I assume is Old School Essentials, Search of the Unknown, and the Holmes Blue Book. Heartseeker. And it's just 2 pages, so this should be quick. Where are you? Machine. Yes, here we go. Heartseeker. I gotta laugh because here's the thing. I'll put the link up. In fact, I'll put the link up right now for this one. There's a link. It is a pay what you want offering. I've noticed a trend for these indie RPGs to not include the title art in the actual PDF in order to save space or to save size. But looking at it, the cover art on the page is actually really nice. It's like a green dragon with some broken trees around it. It's actually really nice. I'm presuming it was selected from stock or something. It would have been nice to have in the PDF, even if the PDF is only 2 pages long. One of which, well, I'm not even going to do this because one of which is the title, Heartseeker, but then here's the entire rule set. It's a pay what you want offering. It's an adventure game inspired by the original from the 70s. 3d6 for each ability. You've got 3 stats: physical, mental, and aura. I could have sworn I've seen that before somewhere. Oh god, let me think. Dungeon Slayers, does that ring a bell, anyone? There was a system called Dungeon Slayers that was more 4th edition-y / well, I want to say 4th edition-y. That was more like board game design, board game style design, but it used like physical, mental, and aura. Actually, it might have had more than that. Ignore what I said. A save presents certain ill effects. Saves correspond to the various abilities. Roll under the relevant ability score on a d20. You get +1 to hit and damage of 14+. But how do you come up with your stats? How do you create? Oh, you roll 3d6 for each ability. If it was a snake, it would have bit me. It was right there. How did I miss that? I'm going blinder than I was before. You get classes. The classes are very straightforward. Warriors get d10 hit dice, get an extra attack if your level is at least 2 higher than the enemy. Thieves get advantage when stealing. This is all very straightforward. Do plus d6 damage when surprising. Wizards can cast spells, but you'll note there's no like charts or anything. Cleric, and then Pathfinder is like the special group, which gives, or the special class, which is basically a ranger. You get a bloodline. Again, the language of that bloodline, which is basically race, but I don't mind calling them bloodlines. Still kind of smacks of shall we say, a genetic focus, but it's a little bit less obvious than some of the other terms people are using. Wizards know the following spells. You can prepare a number of spells per one equal to half their class level plus 1. And there's only like, what, 5 spells? It's all very super simple. It's super simple, but there's enough variation here to make for at least 1 or 2 nights of fun. So I can understand that. Ability checks is just a D20 roll under. They do have advantage and disadvantage in here built in, like baked in. So that's actually... I like that rules, the advantage and disadvantage. I can see a lot of places picking up. But you know what? This actually reminds me of... oh God, what is it? Every time I reach for this stack of books, it's going to be interesting. This reminds me of Heroes and Monsters, which is like basically Black Hack, except specialized. So it's like a simplified version of Black Hack, maybe? I don't know. Except there's like actual spells in that one. Okay, monsters. Each side rolls a d10 for initiative. Take 1 action per turn. Can move a quarter speed and attack. D20 plus half level versus enemy AC. So it's ascending AC. And then you roll class hit dice and damage. So the hit dice are not only your hit points, but also your attack damage. Again, the attack damage based on class. It's something I've seen in like Heroes and Monsters and other similar games. Ammo, you don't track it. You just run out of ammo completely if you roll a 1 on the attack. There are morale rules. That's not bad. You got healing, 3 hit points per day. Not too bad. This is like basically all you need to play a dungeon crawling game. I kind of like that, even though it's only 2 pages. And then your monsters are incredibly simplified. And I strongly suspect, just looking at these stats, I strongly suspect you can grab any comparable old school white box edition based game that has ascending AC and use it. Because this is all very similar to what you'd see in those games. Anyway, that's Heartseeker. Have I already linked that? Did I link that already? Yeah, I've already linked that in the chat. Yeah, I'm actually pretty okay with that game. Oh, that was all the OSR stuff. Huh. Now I've got 3 system agnostic things. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this. I've only been doing this for an hour. There's plenty of time. Got the RPG Magic Item Collection, again from Luke Hart, which I covered other stuff from earlier. From the DM layer. Over 50 magic items for your RPG. And I will link that in the chat. Alright. DM's Lair hosts weekly live streams where the participants create RPG resources for game masters and players. Alright, let's look at some of these then. Helm of the Seeker. This helmet can be used to find treasures and other objects of interest to the wearer. It has 3 charges that replenish daily at dawn. You can use the charges to find the direction of nearest treasure within 1 mile. 2 charges to cast Locate Object. 3 charges to cast Find the Path. That seems pretty old school. I'm presuming, like, all of this is... These are 5th edition things, but since they're magic items, you can use them in, like, any system that has magic, really. The Devil's Fingerprint. This shadowy flask seems to absorb lights in its substances whisk around inside. When drunk, this magic potion affects the imbiber per the Alter Self spell. However, the imbiber's shadow does not change to match. Instead, their shadow appears as a demonic creature with wings and sharp, pointy teeth. That could be interesting. I'm not going to look at every single one of these. The Wand of Infinite Corgis. When the players identify this item, it is believed to be a wand of magic missiles. However, when activated, it begins creating an infinite stream of corgis. A type of dog. Yes, I know what corgis are. I can understand that some might, but just boom, it creates 1d6 corgis per round every 6 seconds. You know what? This reminds me of something. I had an idea for a video years ago, and we actually sat down and did the math with somebody. And it was a friend of mine. You may have seen him on a couple streams. It was Alex. He's played in a couple of my D&D games. But it was called the Infinite Kitten Drive. And it was actually kind of based on Pathfinder. Oh god, I don't even have the notes on it anymore. It was basically you take a summon, like you take the summoning spell like summon minor creature, right? And then you gear it up as a magic item to basically summon kittens into an enclosed space. And then you just have like a rocket shape, like with like a jar into which you summon the kittens, and then a single nozzle leading out. And then you figure out how many of those spells going off in the same exact round, each round, that you need to create enough thrust to like move an airship or whatever. So you basically have this airship, right? And it's got like a rocket engine that just spews kittens out and takes its impulse from however many kittens it's throwing out. And we did the math, and it has to be like it's a ridiculous amount of kittens that it has to spew out. But it is actually calculable as a creatable magic item in in the Pathfinder First Edition role playing game. So if you needed any nightmare fuel for a Pathfinder game, you could do that. All right, let's take a look at a couple more of these. Club +1 of clubbing. This magical club is made of dragon turtle bone. On an attack roll of 20, the club casts hypnotic pattern centered on the user. Anyone affected by the hypnotic pattern dances in place while under the effects. So it's like boom, 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 boom. So it's basically a rave club. I like this kind of stuff. Some of it's serious. Like, I said some of it's serious, and I immediately looked at the shopping mall. No, I'm not. That's not serious. Medusa's Fang. This magical spear has a rattlesnake hide stretched over its shaft. When you roll a natural 20 to hit a creature with this spear, it must make a Constitution saving throw. If it fails by 5 or more, the creature is instantly petrified. Otherwise, it begins to turn to stone as in restraint. So that's actually a serious weapon. So you got stuff like the Medusa's Fang, which is serious, and then you got like the shopping mall. When you roll a 20 on an attack roll with this weapon, it magically generates a useful item that appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet. Okay. So, yeah, that's a mixed bag, I guess. Did I already link that? Tell me I linked that already. Yeah, that's the RPG magic item, magic item collection. That's more 5th edition than anything. I should have covered that earlier. Let me take a look at what's next. The Cambion's Curse from Magnab Games. It is a system agnostic, but Dungeons and Dragons, I guess, based. It's a $1 thing. It's no longer pay what you want. Failure. Okay, I'm not going to cover it. My bad. Yeah, you got to watch some of this stuff. Puzzle Dragon, or Puzzle Dungeon. Let's see what we got here. Puzzle Dungeon, the Seer's Sanctum, is a pay-what-you-want offering from Direct Sun. Let me take a look at it. The hell? Okay. I'm sorry, the PDF had a strange name, so I didn't immediately see it. So this is the Puzzle Dungeon, the Seer's Sanctum, for levels 1 to 4. But it said it was system neutral. Oh God. Hold on, it's got maps across both pages. Let's take a look at the spread. Let's take a look at it in No, it split it across that. That's terrible. I hate when that happens. Give me a second. All right, lesson learned. If you're going to do that for a... If you're doing... This is something that you need to learn from print work. And this is something I actually criticized. I'm criticizing in my Castle Amber review, which is done. It's up for my patrons to view right now. It'll be up on the channel within like a week or two. Probably next week. But one thing I mentioned is the same problem here, is that if you're going to do this, you're going to do maps that split pages, you got to pay a lot of attention on where the split is. So I would like to post these on double pages. If this was printed out, then this would be the interior front cover. This would be on one page, and then you'd have to actually turn the page to reference the second half of the map. It's kind of terrible. I don't even know if I feel like that disturbed me so much. I don't even know if I'm going to take a look at the rest of the thing. I guess we'll take a look at it. All right, it's got various traps and creatures pointed out. There's what, 10 rooms? I'm assuming. I'm having to jump back and forth. Yeah, there's 10 rooms. Why, there's 2 levels, so there's only 2 levels. So you basically enter around here, I guess. And then, yeah, and then that goes to the next level. Well, let's take a look. This module is meant to challenge the players more than their characters. While there are monsters, combat is not essential and can be avoided. That's my favorite kind of dungeon, even though I don't design them that well. It's my favorite kind of dungeon to run. Each room in this dungeon contains its own mysteries, and players will have to use items and knowledge obtained from multiple rooms in order to solve the final puzzle. Characters should poke and experiment, etc. So the answer is not in your character's sheets, but it's in their heads. It makes them be creative. That's what I love about these sorts of dungeons. And what's funny is I'm actually not very good at either designing them or playing in them, despite the fact that I love them. Puzzles sometimes stump me more than they should, and then some puzzles don't stump me at all. So it's either an all or nothing thing with me. Got different adventure hooks. You got a cult called the Seers that supposedly have discovered the secrets of interplane travel. Somebody wants that and hires it for you for it. Got strange happenings that bring you in. The party wakes up in the dungeon with no memory of how they got there. If the... it's not even scrolling right. If the party can't solve the puzzles, there's a chance that the party breaks both jaunt lenses, leaving the final puzzle unsolvable. In this case, they may require outside help to repair or recreate the lens. The party may never solve the final puzzle. It's okay to let them fail, and that's something that all DMs should learn, is that it is okay to let the players fail. You're not running a book. They may be the protagonists, but there's no guarantee that at the end of the day they're going to actually get everything done. And you have to learn to live with that, and quite frankly, your players have to learn to live with that as well. Or else you're just going to end up with situations where you're basically just handing out the details on stuff. So even if they never come back, their patron will most likely find some of their intel valuable. That's because even a partial exploration can be valuable to somebody. All right. The party was trapped by planar travelers. They grow bored of their plight and transport them to a tavern. That's another reason why you shouldn't use those kinds of hooks that just basically... I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you could make them really rare where the characters are basically yanked by somebody and put somewhere, is because if they fail, then they're stuck. So you don't want to do that. The creature stats included here are designed with use with tabletop rule sets popularized by the old school revival. So they're basically OSR stuff. Inspiration from this module was drawn from the following works: Sufficiently Advanced Magic, Tears of the Crocodile God, and Legend of Zelda video game series. Fetid Fountain. Maiden statue seated near the fountain's edge, closed fist with an empty grasp, looking above fist, smiling. I don't even understand this. The hell is this supposed to say? Use your words. Slippery, sheen on floors and walls, difficult to move quickly. I understood that. Iron door, no handles, no hinges, stuck. Understand that. A gray ooze lives in this room and is currently hidden near the base of the fountain. The ooze has been slowly melting away the room's surfaces, leaving behind a clear, slippery slime. The water of the fountain is gross, but not dangerous unless anyone drinks from it. The mirror of sap is at the bottom of the basin of water. The maiden statue is the petrified body of the mirror's previous owner. That's kind of brutal. Lifelike detail seated near the fountain's edge. Closed fist. Empty grasp. Okay, so I guess that means like a mirror. Like she's holding a mirror, but the mirror has come out of her grasp. Okay, now I understand that. There were better ways to write that. Iron door. The gears controlling this iron door are broken. The door will lift up to slide open with great effort from at least 2 party members. And the gray ooze. That's just statted out a gray ooze. The mirror of sap. This ornate platinum hand mirror will reflect back the past states of the dungeon and its contents. Most surfaces in the dungeon appear clean and in pristine order. The placement of objects may be different. Clues to secret passageways later covered up might become more obvious. That's actually a really nice idea. I'm actually liking this idea a lot. Petrified creatures will reflect as they did in life with color and slight movement. The mirror can also be used to gaze upon the Medusa without turning to stone. I actually like that idea. Like a mirror to the past, and then you have to solve the dungeon through the mirror. Room of false choices, or it's a pool of water. There's this in the middle, separates the room. Got condensation on the walls and floors. Water fills the 50-foot deep pool up to about 1 foot below the lip of the platforms. 2 levers extend down the ground on the south platform. He controls all of the iron doors in this room except for the door along the north wall. If this lever is flipped, these doors slide up and lock into their open position. If flipped again, the doors slide down and lock into their closed position. Lever B controls the water level of the pool. If this lever is flipped, the pool will drain over 10 minutes, leaving 1 foot of water at the bottom, revealing the fake drain grate visible in the pool floor. If the lever is flipped again, the water will refill. The first time this happens, the gelatinous cube is released into the pool. That's cruel. A gelatinous cube has wedged itself between the mechanisms. If the water level is lowered and then raised again, the cube gets through the pipes. Oh, that's horrible. Jaunt lens stuck within its transparent mass. So you have to... Jaunt lens, as they stated earlier, was part of the final puzzle. So you basically have to fight this cube. So there's a good chance that you will never figure that out if your players don't hit both switches. Although most players will. And that's just the side view of the room, which I like. This is one of the best uses for these kinds of isometric things, is to just show the details of a tall trap or a room with multiple levels on it. All right. We'll continue onward. Petrification pit. This 80-foot pit connects to Area 9, Purgatory's foyer. Crumbling stonework makes the walls of the pit difficult to traverse. A stone figurehead of the Medusa is on the south side of the pit, 30 foot down. Its eyes point north and glow a bright iridescent green. Any living matter that meets the statue's line of sight must save or be turned to stone. Below the statue's head is a silver coffer held in place by the statue's hands. That's kind of brutal. Inside the coffer is a jaunt lens. So there's 2 jaunt lenses. The lens focuses latent magical energy. Its primary function is to facilitate teleportation across the planescape while using the navigation room, which is in area 3 areas down. I'm not going to go over the rest of this, but there's actually some really neat little puzzles in here. I don't know, they're not puzzles per se, they're just curiosities. I actually really appreciate that. I will leave it off here, and as usual, the stats are in OSR stylings, so I'll leave that here for people who are OSR things. That is called the Puzzle Dungeon, the Seer's Sanctum, and I've actually already linked it, so there, that is that. All right, we're on to the other category. There's 9 things in here. I'm not going to look at all of them. I'm going to take off the Ragnarok Age of the Wolves preview because that's been up for a while. I think they may have finished that. That was a preview for a Kickstarter. I'm going to take off the Ashes of Petrum, a Soulbound adventure, because I don't know enough about Soulbound to take a look at that. Although, just keep in mind that's up on RPG on Drive-Thru-RPG. Let's go to one-page solo engine because it looks like it'll be quick. It is a free offering. One-page solo engine. And I'll go ahead and link it. It says one-page solo engine, but I'm looking, and up here it says that there's 4 pages. So that's a lie. It's not a one-page solo engine. It is a 4-page solo engine. A minimal all-in-one toolkit to play with your favorite tabletop RPGs without a GM. By Carl Hendricks, Inflatable Studios. And that's a lie. See, it's already 2 pages. 3 pages. Liar! Okay. The engine is on 1 page. The rest are generators. That's still a lie. False advertising. Okay. Create 1 or more characters using your chosen game system. Randomly roll a starting plot hook and random event, then set the scene. Oh, God. It uses playing cards. It's just an oracle. It's just an oracle. It uses dice and playing cards. It does give you the option to use only dice, which is good because if I'm going to pull cards out, I'm going to be pulling something. If I'm going to be starting to carry cards and stuff around, I'm not a big fan of game systems that use playing cards. I'm really not. I can understand the idea behind it because they're just a randomizer like anything else. I think I've said this before. I'm just not a fan of using them like that. And these are just plot hook generators, NPC generators. These are just random generators. I guess that works. It's designed for play by the Apocalypse games. I mean, it's not really a solo engine. It's more like an idea generator. I've got one of those. It's called the Tome of Adventure Design. This has the exact same kinds of tables in it. But it's that plus an oracle. It's just got an oracle thing. Which this does not have. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with this one. Not too impressed with this one. Just get out of there. What's next on the list? Final Dungeon. Final Dungeon. By Good Night Games. It says it's for basic role-playing or other systems. And I'm assuming basic role-playing... I don't know what basic... I thought basic role-playing was the Chaosium one. Oh, it's apparently a whole fantasy RPG. Make up your mind. I would like to note, however, that tonight I have only had to say where's the editor once. Because, well, I guess that mishmash of of incomprehensible keywords on that one counts too, so that's twice. So I haven't encountered a really abhorribly, terribly edited role-playing game tonight, so that's good. Welcome to Final Dungeon. This is a fast-paced and rules-light RPG for both new players who are looking to get an easy yet immersive introduction to role-playing games and RPG veterans who are searching for a mechanically simple yet rewarding game system. Players create a party of characters that begin at level 1, then move through the phases of battle, looting, and leveling up, and story advancement through roleplay. After 10 cycles of these phases, the party reaches level 10 and are ready to delve the depths of the final dungeon and defeat the big bad boss. All right. Can also be played as a tactics game with 2 or more players versing each other in matches. Every character has 7 statistics: strength, constitution, agility, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, as well as luck. Character specs are determined by their stats. Most stats have corresponding spec to the effect. How many characters a character can carry are by strength. Health points depends on constitution. Skill points based on their current level. Yeah, but this gives me nothing, no information. What are these stats supposed? What scale is on these stats? Is it a D100 system? Movement is based on agility. Range is based on wisdom and intelligence for magic. It's a game of dice and adds. Players roll dice to determine the results of their actions in and out of combat. Stat rolls. Let me take a look. To roll a stat, simply roll a 10-sided dice and add your stat to the result. If the result is over 10, you succeed. If the result is under 10, you fail. But it still doesn't tell me how to determine the stats. Attempting to do something that targets another player usually calls for a target roll. When you attack, etc., you have both players roll one of their stats that corresponds to the action. Yeah, I'm not sure about this game. It's extremely simple. Gives you critical results on something. There are the now ubiquitous advantage/disadvantage rule. And you got group rolls for when the entire party is trying something. Barter rolls for buying stuff. Classes. You choose one of 7 classes. Each class represents one of the 7 stats: Berserker, Fighter, Thief, White Mage, Grey Mage, Black Mage, and Jester. Minus 10 points for having a Jester. I hate Jesters. Every character in Final Dungeon has one of 7 races, and each race represents one of the 7 stats. So you can be an Orc, Berserker, and be both strength. Oh, man. Yeah, it's like PowerPoint the game in terms of how it's laid out. Yeah, I think I'm done with this one. It's not. There's no artwork. There's the only splash of color is the loot chart and the items. You can use this spreadsheet to create your character according to the 11-step character creation process. Anything I see something like that, I'm kind of like already kind of zone out. It's basically a simplified dungeon crawler. I was not expecting the things that I'm seeing in this game from the description that I saw it, that it was quote unquote sold on. Enough of that. Enough of that. That was not the one-page solo. What the hell was that? That was Final Dungeon. I will put the link in there. That was a pay what you want thing, so I guess it's pay what you want, but I can't see myself ever use. There's a bunch of different. It's not poorly laid out. It's just a little bit. Well, yeah, okay. It's the individual pages aren't poorly laid out. The rules are poorly laid out. I already know of better, simple role-playing systems to use for exactly what that system offers. The hell is this? 7 or better RPG. Okay, this could be cute. I wanted to. This is from CI Adventurers that designed this. I wanted to create an RPG to play with my son that would be easy to use and could use classic adventures without having to do a lot of complicated conversions. So with that having been said, I'm expecting something rather simple and easy and pretty straightforward. 7 or better RPG. Alright, it's an OGL item. That is a lot of pikes. That is a lot of people getting impaled. Man, can you imagine adventuring with that many people? My 5th edition old school game capped out at about 12 characters. We've whittled it down some because I removed somebody from the group, and then another person's only around sometimes. But for a while there were like 12 PCs. And there's 12 PCs here with, and I'm just presuming these are enemies. So yeah, this is now how I'm going to envision that party. 12 people, Jesus. 7 or better, SOB. Okay, you couldn't pick a better. Yeah, okay. This is for his son, mind you. He wrote SOB for his son. RPG is a rules-light game designed to be adaptable for use with any genre. Character creation is quick, and the game mechanic is intuitive and can be used by almost any existing adventure module. Character creation. Create a character. Each character is defined by a set of 6 characteristics. Strength and Wiz, Dex, Con, Charisma, your standard 6. Character will start with 3 bonus points assigned to any of these 6 attributes. There are several ways to do this. So it's one of those games that has just the bonus or the penalty. Which is not a bad way to do it, since that's basically what a lot of stuff boils down to. And it tells you what it is. It looks like there's the classic 4 in terms of classes. Bonus strength check. This tells you what each bonus is for. Character creates a character. They must assign them a number of hit points. These represent the amount of damage the player can take in battle. At first level, characters start with 6 hit points. All characters, regardless of class, apparently. So they can get Constitution bonus for that as well. Characters will need some equipment. They will want some basic adventuring gear. You find a list of the different resources in free source. So this just refers you to other OSR games for the equipment. I guess. I mean, it could be worse. Beginning characters start. It's a save space, definitely. You don't get any armor at all. You just have to kill stuff and take its armor. Weapons. You will need some sort of weapons for your first adventure. Start them out with basic weapons to give them no advantage on attack. So I don't know how you deal with damage like that. Let's take a look. Starting weapons. So it looks like the core system is rolling 7 or better on a dice, but doesn't tell me what dice just yet. Well, it does tell me that these weapons give a bonus to damage. However, it doesn't tell me how to do damage, so I'm going to presume that's later. Magic users and clerics are the only characters who can cast spells. Number of spells known is determined by their intelligence, while wisdom determines it for clerics. Cleric would be able to cast... So you get 1 spell per bonus. Magic is unpredictable and sometimes dangerous. I like that in an old school game designed for somebody's son. I don't know how old that son is, but they'll let him know that life isn't fair. Magic users add any bonus in dexterity, while clerics add their charisma bonus. I still don't know what the 7 or better mechanic is. It hasn't said it yet. Hold on. So you can get 6 magic points to cast spells. I don't understand this. I'm kind of speed reading it, but at the same time, it's like it's not really self-explanatory. In order to take SOB, you must you'll need an adventure. You can make one up yourself, but there are many free adventures available that can be used with little adaptation. Yeah, there's a few things that lack explanation in this so far. In combat, when an attack is successful, you roll 1d6. Okay, so it's like early versions of BX and White Box, where damage is just a D6. And then the weapon just adjusts that. So it's a little bit more forgiving than that. You know, what do you actually roll to hit? All right, and this is another one of those games where it says defending, where instead of the GM rolling for everything, the players roll to see if they can avoid being hit. Again, it doesn't tell me what you're rolling. Saving throws are the same way. Everything boils down to rolling a die and getting a 7 or better. But what die do they use? Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Most of these checks will be made by rolling 2 6-sided dice. It was right at the very beginning. My apologies. I would bold this. Like if it was me, I would be like just bold that, just to make sure it stands out. Otherwise, I don't have a problem with this. It's really straightforward. Looks like it rolls. It looks like it plays real quick. It's got that OSR feel. And it's not bad. And it looks like you can adapt a bunch of stuff to it. So that was 7 or better, which I have not linked yet. Let's get that linked. Boom. I'm kind of flagging here. I'm going to cover one more thing. Let me take a look. I've got 4 more things on my list. I'm going to cover one of them. Let me see what I have. Okay. I was going to cover River of Dread. It is a free interactive adventure, but it's 331 pages. And it looks like it's a solo adventure. I'm not going to cover it, but it's a game book. So I will... I don't know. I'll put a link for people who like game books and their interest, but I'm not going to cover it because that's a lot of pages. That could be like... Whoops. Let me actually get the link. That could actually be a really good game book, but I don't know because I haven't had a chance to look at it. Let's take a look at this one. At World's Edge RPG. I think I'm going to cover that one. So, At the World's Edge RPG. Welcome to the end of the world. As the final days of the final age, the fires of life have been extinguished. The sun is bleeding, the kings are dead. And if that sounds familiar... Let me pop a link to it, and the cover art for those fans of Soulsborne games will be familiar as well. So let's take a look at this one. At World's Edge. Yeah, there's the dark sign. It's all pixelated. There's your bonfire, I guess. The final year of the final age of the world is almost over. Civilizations have risen and fallen, and their ruins ground to dust by the unyielding might of time. Everything has died aside from the immortal guardians and gods. One last temple stands as a testament and a way out, the Temple of Fire at the World's Edge. Within its inner sanctum lies a tiny, sputtering thing, a fire that still burns. Given fuel in the form of a powerful soul, it will set the world ablaze, and everything will start over with a mighty soul that fed it becoming the next monarch. But it's not that simple. No, it never is. Powerful guardians created by the fire guard it, testing the next soul in hardiness and willpower. Only the strong can light the fire. The weak deserve no such privilege. It's Dark Souls the game from that. Up to 4 players control one god each to save the world. I wouldn't call them... I mean, I guess you play gods instead of undead. If the gods beat all battles, they win. If the guardians defeat all the gods in a battle, the world will forever be plunged into a state of stagnancy where nothing lives. You need 3 6-sided dice, some pencils, and a map, and the map used on a table. Or if you're using a digital tabletop, that works too. And 1 character sheet per player. Combat takes place in a square gridded map. This is less a role-playing game, I guess. You can move up to 6 meters once per turn. When you attack, roll 3d6 plus great for each target. If it is higher than the target's defense, 10 plus speed, then it hits the target. When you hit, you apply the attack's effects. Damage dealt will reduce the target's health by that amount. After making an attack in your turn ends unless the attack says it doesn't take up an action. Dodge. You odge. Editor, where are you? That's the number 3. Moving 4 meters in any direction, anytime. So you got like a dodge. This is Dark Souls, the tabletop game. Alright. In At World's Edge, there are rolls using 3d6 dice. When the rules call for a roll, you roll the 3d6 and add bonus or penalties depending on your stats. In role-playing, the storyteller and gods roll 3d6 plus stat against each other or target number to succeed in their actions. When can characters make actions? In AWE, there are 2 phases in gameplay, the relaxed phase and the action phase. Characters just do their own thing in the relaxed phase, and time isn't strictly counted. This is just for investigations, role-playing, social encounters, and similar activities, such as crawling up a long and winding root system. Anything that doesn't involve 2 sides trying to kill each other. Characters have to wait for their turn in a combat phase. First, one character from the player side can act, being able to use their action. After that, that character is activated and their turn ends. Then a character from the enemy side acts, which then gets activated and it repeats until every character has been activated. Then the round is said to end and all characters are no longer activated. Repeat until the battle ends. All characters regain all lost hit points after a battle and wake up if unconscious. So that, again, goes towards that whole you're kind of immortal thing. So it's almost like Dark Souls, the game. You got status damage. You keep track of its number as you receive more status they add together. It's almost like more like a... I don't want to say a board game because it's very tactical on the combat. Okay, mortal... here's how you create it. Think of your god's ideals and fighting style. Also think of their general appearance and personality. Your god must be a god of something. There's no such thing as a god without an aspect. Role-playing your aspect will grant you +1 to +2 bonus to rolls. So instead of playing like the chosen undead, you're like an aspect. Like a god. So it's not quite Dark Souls the game, but it's like Souls-like the game. Each one seems to have... This is instead classes, you got special abilities. These are basically your classes. Each of the aspects gives you a different special ability type. Okay. Venom. You can make a poison swamp, or a cloud of venom with a radius of 3 meters about you that just poisons everything near you. You have 3 stat points in each category. If you have 3 points for body, you can put 2 in great, 1 in touch, and 0 in speed. So you've got 3 stats per category, and there's only 2 categories. So it's a classic 6, except with different names. You got great, which is a measure of your strength and power. Speed, which is a measure of your swiftness and accuracy. And then tough, which is a measure of your hardness and fortitude. And it's all point by. There's no randomization here, which... again, kind of harkens towards the Souls-like base of it. Alright, hold on a second. Abyssal Great Axe. Weapons and armor. You can choose 2 weapons. You can equip 1 weapon at any time and switch between them. Oh my god. I just saw the weapon description. The weapons have a description, an R1, an R2, and then a weapon art. A little bit on the nose there. I mean, look. I like Dark Souls. I would play a game, a tabletop role-playing game based on Dark Souls. But this is a little bit on the nose, man. The Breaker's Lance. Every weapon has this big, this stat block because they have to have an L1 and R1 and a weapon art. What happens if you're dual wielding? Can you use both of them's weapon art? I'm sorry. I shouldn't. on the one hand, I shouldn't like disparage the game for trying. All right, let's see. You can equip one armor set. Armor gives you a special ability. And much like Dark Souls, the armor of each set is completely interchangeable. So you get one that gives you an additional dodge action, one that gives you +1 to attack, one that gives you 1 less damage. Stone set. One that gives you 1 less status damage from attacks. Alright, and that's it. That was At World's Edge. I gotta admit, I kind of like that one, even if it's a little bit cheesy. I am disappointed that they did not have a bonfire mechanic in there. They should have tried. They should have tried. There's the link to that. That's a pay what you want offering. Let me take a look. I think that's the last one I'm going to cover tonight. I had 2 more on the list, but I'm really not feeling them. I'm really not feeling them. Alright, well, I'm going to call it here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found some enjoyment out of this. I know there wasn't a lot of chatting going on, at least not that I could see. Unless I've completely missed it or something. I'm going to reload the page, see if I completely missed it. But I know there wasn't a lot of chatting and stuff. I hope you enjoyed at least taking a look at some of these. People seem to enjoy looking at them over the course of a week. Next week, I'm going back to streaming some sort of game on my live stream. I don't know what I'll be streaming. It'll be something in early access or something like that. Or I may just pick something I like. Indie Game Friday for those who like. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Oh, did you ever get the thing where it wasn't showing you Fallout 2 figured out? Because I scheduled it for Friday. And YouTube, I'm sorry about that. YouTube puts the stuff in as private when you schedule it. And I've started to get in the habit of putting more stuff scheduled, so even if I don't quite make it in time one night, all right, appreciate that. I wanted to make sure because for those who don't know, my supporters and all that do get generally early access to a lot of stuff. I need to figure out how to do early access for my channel members. I need to start posting into the channel membership stuff because I got 2 channel members now. I mean, I know it's not a lot, but it means a lot to me. Those are people that went out of their every patron, every subscribe star supporter, every channel member has basically stated that they enjoy my content enough that they're willing to pay for it, which means a lot to me. All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I've got like 3 more on there. I don't know if you saw the links. And then I've got Pool of Radiance on my other channel that will be going live after the Age of Decadence stuff finishes. So I've been doing a lot of Let's Plays. Now I need to up my output of the tabletop stuff. Right now I have been putting all of my old tabletop stuff, not my playthroughs, but my old tabletop material, like my Tabletops and Taverns, my RPG Storytime. I've been putting that up on alt text slowly, and I've been getting into recording a couple things for a 3rd season of Tabletops and Taverns, which I've been putting off for like 3.5 years now. So hopefully that'll be up, but I want to do a okay job on it. I want to make it worth watching. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I've talked enough tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for continued support. And we will be bringing back Indie Game Friday again soon. So look forward to that. It's not going to be this Friday. It's not going to be next Friday. It might be like I'll aim for the 22nd, but I can't guarantee it. And until next time, take care and goodbye.